Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to attempt the first ever tire change for me on a front tire, installing the new Mr. Wolf Lunar 2.0 moose balls. You'll notice that these are kind of the newest addition to going tubeless, basically not having any air pressure. Just however many of these you put in the tire will kind of determine the air pressure. So there's an F on them for the front tire. Obviously these are a little smaller. And then there's an arrow, so you're gonna wanna make sure that faces kind of in the middle of the tire upward. And then all these little kind of pinch lines where the two pieces were put together, you're gonna wanna make sure that you align those as you put them into the tire and then kind of squeeze the fronts together. So depending on how many you wanna put in, I'll show you that here in a minute, but these should be pretty awesome. All right, so first things first, I'm gonna take my tire iron. I've already taken the valve stem out. I'm going to stick this in and just start breaking the bead and just break the bead off around the whole rim. So that way it's easier to get the tire off, and then you can do that to get your start. I've already loosened the rim cap or the rim lock nut here. Just loosen that. Don't take it all the way out. Just leave it so it's on the last couple threads. And then I've taken the rings off of the inner tube as well, the little nuts off the inner tube, so that we can pull that out when we get the tire off. On my rear tire that I did before this, I started about a quarter of the way up the tire. So I'm gonna actually take two of these. I'm gonna stick one in, push down on the tire a little bit, try and get this one in so that it actually grabs the edge of the tire, which I did. And then I'm gonna go in about 3-inch sections because it's easier just to get the tire to come off of the rim that way. So I'm gonna stick about 3 or 4 of these in here. And then you want to be careful that you don't let one of these smack back up and hit in the face. But I just pull back on this one about halfway, pull back on the second one at the same time. It starts to bring that over, and then I go to the third one, and then the fourth one. And because I did it in those small sections, you can see that the tire is actually starting to come off of the rim right there. So we'll just kind of continue doing that and moving these all the way around the tire and get it off. Okay, so at this point, I've got those 4 where I did. I'm just gonna put one in. I'm going to push down on the tire to get this one back into the groove, which can sometimes be a little tricky. And then I'm just gonna go one at a time. Push one, take this one, leave this one in, push this one into the next spot. Just do 3-inch bites all the way around, right? And if you can't get it in there, you can back the pressure off just a little bit. Push that one, back it off just a little bit, put this one in, do the next one. You can see it starting to come off, right? So as soon as you get this off, we'll be able to go to the next step, flip the tire over, and get going on that. Okay, so once I get to the rim lock, I'm just gonna I've already loosened up the rim lock nut. I've taken these off of the inner tube. I'm gonna slide this in here and I'm just going to push against it. So that way it pushes the rim lock back in there like that so that it frees it from the edge of the tire as I go around. You can sometimes do this with a couple different ones. You can have one here that you can leverage while you're using 2 other tire irons. But once you kind of get it pushed back in there, you should be able to use your hand, or you can use another one of the tire irons to push it. Let's try and see if we can get this part. There it goes. Came right out. So now we have that entire side is outside of the rim. We're gonna flip the tire over and go from the next side. Okay, so I flipped the tire over. I put 4 of these in there as well, the tire irons, and then popped out the edge, which you can kind of see. Kind of see how it's like coming out of the edge there. So now we're just going to do the same process. Just take off a little bit at a time, release the pressure, stick this one in, pull down, pull this out, release the pressure, pull down, pull out. So we're just gonna go all the way around until we get this tire off of this side, and then I should be able to pull the rim out from the middle. So should go pretty quick. And we're almost there. So I get to the rim lock, do the same thing, push in on it. Sometimes you can actually use both hands from underneath or leverage the device, push that in so it pops out. There we go. Okay, so we got the tire off the bead on both sides. If I smack it down like this, you can see how the tire comes down. I'm going to take that rim lock and leave it in. I'm going to pull the tube out right here. You can pull the tube out if you want. Just slide it to one side and pull it out. Or what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the rim out. Pull the rim out from the middle. Just like that. So I've got a couple of these. I'm going to start by just making sure that the arrow up is going to face upward, and then this line is going to face basically right in the middle of the tire right here. So if I push it in there, you're going to want to kind of center it as best you can, and that's how it should look. You can kind of see. And then we'll stick the next one in there. And you don't have to necessarily space them out all the way right now, but if I'm going to try and put 21 or 22 of these in here, I'm just going to like start shoving them in there, and I want to try and line up those lines and then keep the tops kind of touching. Now when I go back, I can actually space them out by sticking my fingers in between or sliding them out. But if they're kind of initially about that far apart, that's great. And then we'll just go through and do all of them. All right, so I have 23 balls in here, the moose balls. You can see there's a gap, right? So if I wanted to put another one or two, I could. I have 26 actually in the front that come in this kit. So there's 26 of them. I can put more if I want. If I want to start spacing these out, I'm just going to start spacing them out just a little bit. And then I'm going to put the width of my finger on both sides. So as I kind of start to go through, I'm going to put the width of my finger on both sides to make sure they're about the same. Now, once I get all the way around, I may have to continually slightly adjust this, but it just depends on how many you want and how firm you want. So do some research online. All right, so now I've got that section of inner tube cut, just kind of small enough that it won't mess with the actual bead. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to try and get this rim lock kind of pushed out enough once I get the tire to go over the edge. I start with this section here. I'm going to start with this section here because I'm going to push my leg up against it here and try and pull and push that tire as far over here as I can. And then I'm going to grab at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and see if I can start little by little pushing that on. One trick, obviously, I just have this little spray bottle. I'm going to spray, soap. It's basically Dawn dish soap. So I'm going to spray that around the ends or the edges to get it to slide on a little bit differently on the front and the rear underneath so that it'll just slide on a little bit better. So just going little by little. Just kind of working it back and forth. You can pick up on the back side of the tire if it starts to get tight. You know what? Once it starts to get really tight, you're gonna just take little bites, like 3 inches here, 3 inches there. It does help if you put your tire out in the elements a little bit. Kind of slide that back over, lift up on it, slide that in. I'm not a professional, so I probably will scratch my rim a little bit, but it's all right. Okay, so that edge is all the way in, right? That was the easiest part, just kind of get that one side on. All right, so in watching other guys do this, I'm basically just gonna kind of put my tire iron in there and just kind of push down, try and get these balls, like the moose balls inside, to just kind of like settle in a little bit. So once I get that one bead on, we should be good to start on the flipping the tire and doing the other side. I have flipped the rim over. You can see this side's not set. I'm just gonna go around and, you know, take my tire iron and try and squish down the moose balls a little bit because they kind of tend to expand. I want to get them down into that tire and into the center of the rim as fast as I can, or as far as possible. I'm gonna stick 2 of them in here, 2 tire irons, and then I'm gonna grab that bead buddy and try and get it to set about 3 or 4 inches away from the rim lock, just so it can help me, like so. And then make sure I push my rim lock back and get that tire in there. Okay, and then I'm just gonna slowly, I'm gonna spray this thing, get it kind of lubed up, and then we'll go from there, see if we can get this thing on. This side of the rim lock, because that's where the tire's at. Okay, so now that I'm halfway, I'm gonna grab another one of these and leave it over here so I can obviously get the pressure off of over here. Set it a little bit farther back here. So I got it on, took a little bit, but right here, it's not seated in the tire or the rim as well, so I'm just gonna basically just try and pop just a tiny bit of pressure down and spray a little bit of soap in there so we can get, when I put some air pressure in the tire or in that valve that I put in there, it'll actually help pop it out. Looks like that's the only section. Yeah, this side's great. So just that one section and we should be done. All right, so I put the lock nut on here on the valve stem. Just gonna pump it up, put the valve stem in. All right, we're good. Popped it out just enough that, there we go. Ready to ride. Okay, last thing is we're going to tighten the rim lock nut. It goes to 11 foot-pounds of torque. So once you get this done, you should be ready to throw the tire back on the bike and go do some riding. It feels pretty good so far. I mean, I've got, what did I put, 24 of the 26 moose balls in. So it feels like it's about 12 PSI roughly. So we'll see how that feels when I get out on the trail. So we're putting this Acherbis cover back on. I always grease it up just a little bit when I push it down in here, just to kind of help with a little bit more, like holding some of the moisture out in the dirt. But and then we're going to grab the axle. I'm going to clean it off, lube it up, and then we're going to put them back on.